Alright guys, good morning, good morning. First off, I hope that accident was caught on camera. I felt so bad for that guy. He cut the wheel too sharp there inside of the gas station there and just sideswiped his entire car. That gas station is really small and they do need to redo it. It's been like that for about 30 years and it's quite outdated, but that guy just smashed the whole side of his car. Also, besides that, guys, I hope you're having a great morning. I'm headed off to RACESENG this morning. If you don't know who they are, check the link down below, or you can click up here. They are a company that makes custom parts for all sorts of cars, from the FRS to the MR2. They also make, their biggest known thing is a custom shift knob they make for across everybody. I have one currently in my MR2. I do not have one in the Supra. I'm hoping to talk to Jarrett today, which is the owner, KEYSTONE, who's another employee there, and help me get hooked up with them. So I'm looking forward to this event today and looking forward to meeting everyone. But before we get too farther, guys, do me one other big favor. Go down below, check out the Facebook, Instagram. Also check out the Pure Function website. We've got new hats, shirts, keychains, all that cool stuff posted ahead of time. If you guys want to, do me a favor, support the channel and go buy some merch. All right, man. Come on.
Come on in. I guess we should turn on some.
Oh, AC.
That's why I'm thinking we should probably open the door.
First off, guys, look how big this place is. Like, I don't think for most of the stuff you guys see, it doesn't look like it's
not that big.
I mean, in my opinion, for most performance shops or anything that does machining, I mean, this is decently sized, especially for the aftermarket industry.
So anyway, you got sort of your R&D area. We do our laser scanning here, reverse engineering here, development, part install, and we, really like an open, collaborative space. So
yep.
Yeah, there's a reason why the shop is this weird unity where there isn't walls anywhere, and that's why I want it.
Okay.
I want, designed to intentionally. Do you notice how this is the only painted beam in the building?
Okay.
The whole beam spans and literally runs into the design room, and that's my analogy for, hey, this is how we operate. Where from manufacturing to design is fully linked in together.
That's awesome. I love that.
Just a visual cue. Yep.
That's so cool, man. Guys, and just remember, this is a machine shop. Look at the floors. Coming from Vitalik and all the other places, Lehigh Heavy Machine, this place is extremely clean.
So I usually start in here, and this little canvas board is a storytelling piece, meaning that, this is me, finger in my mouth, gnawing over design because I'm trying to get this to work right. You can see I'm running into a little collision issue.
Sure.
I'm trying to figure out how do I get that out of the system. So from design, development, to actually making, to bolting on the car, and to literally testing the stuff.
That's such a cool concept, man.
There's a reason it's black and white, because each room in the building that does each of these processes, the pictures are color.
Oh, dude, that makes perfect sense.
Cool interaction. So, office, admin, we're a small company. There's only a handful of us, but I really try to run up.
Yep. And once again, you guys notice the open concept again. So if someone has an issue or problem, everyone's here working together, and a small table here to work together.
Yep. We have a little bit of a heritage of other stuff we've done. Some people don't necessarily know this is a C5 and C6 1-inch lowering upright for Corvettes.
Okay, yeah, I would have known either.
World Speed Challenge cars, we had about 60 teams that use our suspension setup for those, and this was my old embarrassing logo.
Oh, dude, that's not bad at all.
So this is where we started, and this is a little bit of a lineage of stuff people don't know we actually do, but at one point we were the Jessel of small engine billet roller rocker arms to our own valves, springs, retainers, keepers, push rods, pistons, connecting rods, flywheels. We did a lot of stuff.
So can I ask why you kind of went away from that, if that's all right to ask?
Oh yeah, it was an evolution of not knowing what I was doing.
Yeah, sure.
No, the business has evolved. We had to evolve. It was working, but it wasn't. We were like a square peg in a round hole.
I got you.
So this is a motor you could buy from Harbor Freight.
Sure.
For $99.
Yep.
And we would triple the horsepower of the motor. So you'd buy a 6.5 horsepower clone motor, and with our parts you get 21.5 horsepower out of it. So you normally the engines came with a 11-pound spring.
Okay.
And we were running like 55 and 75-pound spring pressure, which required billet roller rocker arms, which required our own valves, our own repeaters. So
it was a never-ending cycle. It was like I got to keep adding and adding.
Okay, and our stuff was, we just know enough to be dangerous. We're no F1 team. We're no F1 Inconel, header technology, but we were a little too far ahead.
Sure.
And it didn't match the market. We had to move. We had to go, and that's part of what today is. We're going to do a full-blown experience where my dad and I are going to tell the stories.
Okay.
It'll be neat, but we're going to walk through that in a slideshow element. But I show some of that, and then I show the evolution. Like, these are a lot of old stuff in here I have to update. We don't make an AC delete anymore. But we do cool stuff like make billet aluminum trophies for 86 Best.
Guys, just want to put that out there. So if anyone's looking for trophies, this is pretty freaking cool.
Yeah, you can look it up. Some Motor Mavens, and it Turn 14 was behind this, and it was cool. So anyway, we have some of those pieces shown around to say that we're more than parts. We did a lot in our history. I mean, I did architectural fabrication, and it was a disaster of a business for a little bit there. But we're finally starting to get some steam now.
He says disaster is everything I look in here. The one thing I always say with you guys, and I'm such an attention to detail, you guys take it to like from here to up here. Like it's a different level. I love like you've been working on lug nuts and everything else for so long, but you're perfecting it and I love it.
Yes, it's a sad story, but cruising now. So our sim rig,
all right,
we have fun over lunch here. It can run on a virtual reality headset. We're not going to do that today just for people because the crashing is going to happen all the time.
Sure.
So anyway, but we're going to have a little time attack competition here today.
Oh, that's going to be awesome too. I can't wait to see that.
You going to try it?
Oh, of course.
So this is the home of the studio. So I sit here, Ryan, who is a new hire for us, and that's probably why you're seeing new videos come out. That's Ryan. He's been wanting that for years because, like, you being here tells the story. I've had how many people that don't, like, they don't see it. They can't see it. Ryan's finally telling our story in a form that's tangible for people to get.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's perfect.
It's had to happen. But so if you could like kind of go through this. So I'm going to take people on a tour today, sort of like you. We're going to walk through our new P-Car shifter paddle. So this is a 981 Porsche OEM part. We laser scanned this section of the paddle. So I have this thing completely in CAD scanned to a probably, I would say that scan data is probably within tenths.
Okay.
I mean, it's dead on. And then we take that scan data and here it is. So here is what you're seeing in this part in the virtual world. And meaning it's real. You can't touch it. It's digitally there.
Yeah,
and
right.
I can know how to sculpt our paddles around the OEM parts that have the geometry. So in my mind for these, a paddle, it can be an extension, but why does it have to look ugly?
Sure.
So this is just the designer and me talking. Why can't RACESENG as a company be the paddle company that's accentuating OEM parts?
Sure.
Not making it look like an ugly bolt-on. It'll look like a mod, a cool looking mod,
sure.
but it also has Porsche language to it.
Sure.
So, you know, I'm mimicking and able to dial in, you know, see this edge detail? Well, I mimic that edge detail. You can see this cut right here. I actually make my part mimic it. So when it's bolted on, you're not getting something that's alienated. It looks nice there.
Sure.
And that's what I hope makes us different, that I'm grueling over this stuff in CAD. I mean, this model took me probably, well, I probably have 100 hours into just getting the model right, and I've been through countless versions of it too.
What else stands out to me, I remember you showing me a tow hook and just going over like little details of a tow hook, and you're like, something like this edge, it couldn't be sharp, and you could just leave it like that. No one ever noticed, but it has to be rounded. I gotta smooth it out.
So one example of why people don't go to this extent. So this is your feature tree.
Yep. So
this model started as basic as this block. So I'm gonna roll back all these features. So that's how ugly it starts.
Wow, and
it's a chunk of junk.
Yeah.
Except some shape. So the reason why a lot of people don't do this is because it takes time. I mean, to get the final model, no joke, it was days of labor.
Oh, I guarantee it.
Getting it right, but that doesn't reflect how many other designs I've had.
Oh my gosh.
So this is weeks long. When I said 100 hours just for that model.
Yep.
The final polished, data's good, it's dead on, it's tested, okay, let's lock it in. So what you do is you literally have to go down and create these features line by line by line, and everything's data driven with geometry and sketches. So if you were to look here, if I start combing down through this, you'll actually start to see this thing slowly take shape, where I'm starting to get there. And if you notice, there's no straight angles anywhere. Everything is sweeping, complex geometry. It's hard, hopefully your camera's picking up, but you keep cruising down through this, and you're getting there. I'm getting some detail on the backside now. I got to do a bunch of composite curves, and here's a detail where I wasn't happy with the way that geometry was flowing.
Sure.
So I actually blow the geometry out. I literally, this surface isn't here, it's gone.
Yep.
and I start to fill it back in with what I want it to be, and there it is. That's what I want that to be. So the way the computer was giving me the data, I'm not happy with. I never let the CAD drive me.
Sure.
I drive the CAD. If you let CAD drive you, that's when you get stuff that looks very generic.
Sure.
I guess. But me as a designer, I want to, don't let it drive me. I drive it. Yep. This was an area that was a perfect example that you're saying. If I were to roll back and show you what it looked like before, it'd be like, oh yeah, it doesn't really look that
exactly.
good. It had a sharp on it. I'm like, well, dude's hands, or somebody's hand's gonna be there. I wouldn't want to touch that or feel that.
Yep.
So we go down here and you keep rolling down through. And like all of these are all things that I have to create.
Yep, from dead scratch.
You know, and I'm starting to create the surfaces here because I got to extract this out and actually cut it out so it fits. So the paddle fits it, and there's the body of the paddle. So this isn't an easy part. Like if you look at this, to make sure that our paddle sits on here, there's no flats on this. It's all complex geometry. I have to re-mimic that complex geometry in our part.
I'm glad we're going over this because when I talk to my friends about engineering and stuff, they think, well, you're just on the computer, you click a few buttons and do this. They don't understand the time, the detail goes in, and the rework that goes into it to get something perfect.
Yeah, now you're dead on, So we'll keep cruising, go down through here, and this is why. I mean, look at all the fillets. You know, you're starting to get cups and you're starting to see things, and like all of this around here is a nightmare, meaning that it was ugly and I'm trying to get it right. So here's the context that sometimes is difficult to understand. I design on a 30-inch screen. Okay. All right, so I design in a world this big. I can see it this big. It's actually right there. That's the detail you're looking at.
Let's zoom in here real quick.
Right here.
Yep.
So those little nuances of the way this geometry was running, right here, is what you're seeing blown up on my screen 30 inches big.
Holy cow.
That's actually a problem. I sometimes, because you can see it so big, then when I get it, I'm like, oh man, why did I do that? Or why did I spend that much time?
Right, focus on some small area. But that's what makes RACESENG racing.
Yep, so we'll keep cruising, going. Anyway, I'll roll it all the way down to the bottom. There's one interesting thing, so this is that paddle. This is the first prototype we machined.
Yep.
We didn't go through the finishing yet. This is done in a finished unique way.
Sure.
We actually vibratory tumble it. So when this normally gets machined, as you know, Ryan, you get sharp edges along here.
Absolutely.
And we vibe tumble these things for hours, and it rounds everything over.
If you have, can we go over that too? Because I know people, I know what it is, but they're not going to know what it is.
You put stone. Yep. And it's pre-made stone in all kinds of shapes and sizes, and this thing literally tumbles in the stone, and it rounds over and creates really, really nice geometry or radiuses on things that normally would be fairly sharp off a CNC machine. Sure. And this to me is a part, it's going to be in somebody's hands. They're going to be literally touching this in a way during when they're driving, that if I were using this, I don't want to feel anything like that.
Absolutely.
I want it to be just a gorgeous touch. And so touch to us is something I take seriously because I can design form. Yep. But how does that form actually feel? Just because it looks cool doesn't mean it's going to feel cool when you're shifting or feel the ergonomics of it. But one other thing that is us, and you're going to see it here. Notice this part here and this part here. So I wanted to integrate RACESENG on it somewhere. And the first time I did it, I just put RACESENG here. And I'm like, well, that's just, we don't just put it on. Yeah. Do something with it. So I went back, we made the jaws, we did the production programming. Okay. I'm thinking late at night while I'm sleeping, and the idea comes to me, and I'm like, holy crow, I don't want to go back and do all that. I started over again just to get that detail in. That's the cool. What you're seeing is this. I wanted, and it's very simple, but I'll show you a finished one. I wanted this geometry to do something with the RACESENG. Instead of just being a flat continuate, it had to have something to make it... Cup it. Do something to accentuate it. Don't just slap it there. Do something with it, you know? And that's, we'll go back and show you some of those, but, you know, this is actually where I start. You know, I start on paper. I take a picture of the shifter arm, I just put a light transparency over it, and I start drawing over it. So that way I'm not redrawing the paddle, but these are my ideas for shapes and logo integration and wrapping the plus over, do I do a 2-piece design? Do I do a 3-piece design? And then here's me working through little details and machining details. On sheet 2, I'm like, well, how am I going to build a fixture to hold this part?
Sure.
Then here, this is a mimic of a ball detail where I know I can't put a square, I can't machine square edges.
Yep.
How am I going to hold it? So and here was my idea. Don't mind my ugly fingernail here. But this is an idea of how the user's hand can wrap around it. And here I'm just drawing some other ideas of, well, how can I get the shape to move in another way? And then the idea of Alcantara or leather came in, and that might be V2, where I want to do paddles that integrate something else in the car.
That would be unique. I've never seen that yet, so that's very unique.
So anyway, I did this after these were done, and that might be the next gen. But anyway,
that's awesome.
Be showing this right
now. Yeah, like see the passion you have in this and how much you care is what makes it so much better.
But you know, like I'm like craving over how do I get the leather to sit in there? How do I make that machinable?
Sure.
How do I cut the leather? How do I finish the edge of the leather? When you see the finished part, it's like, oh wow, that's cool. But it was like thousands of hours that went to get there. So anyway, that's really where we start. Then that model in SolidWorks, I basically export a file of it, and you can put it in. This is a readily available machine, but the whole point is that to us, it's a piece of the process. It's a tool we use so that I have this modeled in CAD, and it looks neat in CAD, but what happens when I actually hold it?
Sure.
Are the details too small? Does it fit? Does it feel right? There's a number of things we can prove out. So I can print these in about 2 hours.
That's pretty impressive.
To machine it, days.
Yeah.
And tons of labor and tooling and fixturing and milling, and this is, I literally load a file in here and I'm ripping. So there's about 10 to 15 of these.
Now, how accurate is the 3D printing process? When
it all depends on the machine. So this is plus or minus 10 thou.
10 thou.
Yeah, that's, okay, guys, that's sloppy.
Yep.
That's sloppy. You know, so this is the torque, or this is the drive system. This fits in CAD. Doesn't fit in here. And it's because it's not printed perfectly right, but this is one of the lug nut designs with our own drive system and our own, I'm not sure what I'm going to call it, but it's our own system.
So this will be proprietary to RACESENG itself.
And we're actually having tools made, and we're having a forging tool made for this, so it's truly unique.
Oh, I can't wait to see that. That's what I've been waiting for. I've been following this like a hawk. Yeah, I can't wait to see.
TVD.
Oh my God.
You know, neat stuff.
Yep.
So like high-end finishing, it'll be cool. But that's sort of it. You know, don't show too much of the wheels.
Sorry guys, you can't see that.
Too much of the wheels, but quick releases, true integration of materials and leathers. I mean, like, we're digging on this.
Yeah.
It's not just who can we have to make wheels for us. I need to have them made somewhere. I can't make wheels.
Sure.
But I'm gonna try to make as much as I can of it. I would love to do a full billet wheel, like full billet, and then wrap it and integrate the wrapping. And I could machine it. You know, most wheels look the same now.
Yep.
It's 3 spokes and holes.
Yep.
Slot middle. We're gonna do something unique. But this is sort of our project R&D area. So every one of these cubbies holes is something I'm responsible for at this point in time. So short shifters, catch cans, e-brakes.
Lug nuts for days.
Lug nuts for days. You know, there's all kinds of ugly in here. There's kind of cool. There's kind of like, I don't know, maybe. Yeah. You know, here's another
I love how much time, like, this is, guys, look how many times he's printed something off and like, no, it's not perfect. No, it's not perfect. No, I don't like it.
Don't like it, or it's not working. So we just keep iterating, and we're on. The other cool thing is I have other enthusiasts here.
Yep.
So I have Corey is our machinist. You know, he is the MR2 out there.
Yep.
Jared has the S2000 out there. So I sit down with them and I show this stuff. I'm like, all right, guys, you know, you're my board. You're my balance and check sheet for, here's what I'm thinking for a RACESENG lug nut line. And every time I leave those, I'm like, oh, that was so fruitful.
Yep.
Because I'm getting an enthusiast feedback.
Sure.
The neat part is when they say to me, Jared, that's not RACESENG.
Yeah.
To the owner.
Yep.
That's where I'm like, all right, we're good. Meaning that they're holding me in a balance that
sure.
Like, don't do that. That just don't see that fitting within the brand, and that happened on those. I was stretching.
Yep.
And they're like, no, I wouldn't do that. And I was like, really? Yeah. You sure? I think that'd be cool. Like, no, what about this? And I left there with a whole new trajectory.
Sure.
And then that's sort of what evolved into over there. So.
This is awesome. See, I love this perspective. The people are gonna love this.
Photography area back there, video, you know, gimbals, and you know, a lot of people don't know we do graphics in here. Like, so all of the
okay, I didn't know that.
All of the RACESENG website I code myself. I'm not the greatest at HTML, CSS, but we get by. So what you see on the site, we're doing the photography, the video, the coding, the graphics.
That's jack of all trades stuff right there.
We ran a Race of Champions event at Lehigh Valley Grand Prix, I invited 50 drivers from all kinds of different racing bodies, and we, you know, my graphic designer did this guy. We designed our own race suit, and we had this picture of this guy, and this is all drawn by hand on a Wacom tablet.
This is so,
yeah, like that's the level
so cool.
of neat that people don't see unless they come here and see this tent. So I had everybody sign it, and then that to me is, I want to keep that. That's
sure.
That's a neat keepsake, and I want to do it again.
Yeah.
Now that we're much closer to the automotive world, that would be really, really neat. So, programming room.
This is also free full.
Yeah,
I love this.
Don't crash. Sorry, did you notice the color pictures and the quote? Well, back one. You can flip this part.
Yeah.
So, intentional color of what I consider to be design being the silent ambassador of our brand.
Okay.
What does that mean? To me, that means build it in naturally. Let it speak within the parts. So I have this up because there was a lot of detail in here that I'm actually hugging all kinds of detail within this R shape, and even the chamfer tool comes down and mimics the bottom of the R. This pocket comes down and touches the R. And then this whole pocket detail, where this detail comes up right here and cups the first measuring mark of your camber movement, and then over, and it dives back down. I mean, those are the things where just build it in, let it speak for itself within the product. And then on this shift knob, this is our circuit series knob, and the canvas didn't print it well. Your camera's probably not going to pick it up very well, but there's a tangent line detail around here. That
you actually see it on camera there. You guys can pick that up.
And you can see it over here. So you'll know this, most people won't. When you have to integrate manufacturing from round to milling, you have variances when you're holding the round part in a mill. Not only do you have tolerances when you turn it, but then when you put it in a fixture, it's not perfect.
Nope.
You want it to be there, but it might be 5 thousandths over here. So that milling detail is intentional in that it actually adds a neat cup form for your thumb. So when you're holding the shift knob here, the knob actually comes up and cups this section of your thumb, and it draws a line of light around the part that it catches when it's in the car.
Sure.
So that's what I mean by design being the silent ambassador of our brand. Those sort of things that just looks super natural into the state of the part is what has to do the speaking.
Yep.
Not, I mean, we push hard. I'm probably not describing this properly, but just let the part speak for itself, but let design drive you to that point in time.
I love that. I love the whole motto, and I love how passionate brand is.
This is us at NJMP. It's a nice close-by track. That's me in the car. You got Thunderbolt and Lightning. So these are pictures of us on these tracks on the wall.
Okay.
So there's a neat analogy between the fact that that we're then taking these parts, and then this is the middle of the building for a reason. Because to me, this is the crux.
Yep.
And it's color, and there's just a nice analogy in that's me. Not that it's me, but we're there doing this. You know,
absolutely.
Testing stuff. This was actually a track day with Penske Racing shocks because we're developing shocks for the FS.
Oh my gosh, this keeps getting better and better.
So, when you come into the programming room, again, colored canvas showing the process of milling, turning, CNC turning. You go from solid blank to you have your turned part, and then we have to have a neat language that correlates between turning part and milling part. And I intentionally didn't finish this one so that way you guys could see more of the turn feature and the fact that here's your milled out spoke detail. And you know, there's a little bit of stuff going on there. There's a lot of tool path work to deburr all these edges, and I run a ball mill down in that face to deburr that edge, and also roll an edge so you don't get any stress risers in the part. Strength is one thing you got to think of. You can make something look cool, but is it actually going to work in a car? And you know, here's the whole pulley set done, and they're not standing up. That's why they're not standing up right now. And the washer falls out.
Oh, gotcha.
Shoot the designer on that. No, I want it flat, so when I'm all standing up,
sure.
I don't want people knocking them over.
Absolutely.
And then you have your milling end of things. So this is the top mount. So you go from solid blank to this is what we call op 1. So you do as much of the work as one op as you can. You take this part, you flip it, you hold it in these jaws right here is exactly what you're seeing. And then what you're seeing sticking up in these plates is your driver and passenger hand side of that part right there. So you go, it's a methodical process of doing this. Parts fly out of ices, you know, end mills break, it's ugly, it's dirty, it's hot, coolant's greasy.
Yep.
This is the hard part of what we do, but yet this is what makes us, because I can be out there with my dad being like, and I'm not liking what I'm seeing going on here, or I actually want to increase that. It just isn't what I thought it was going to be, and we edit it right here.
Sure.
We make running changes. So I think sometimes my dad has enough of me, but that's just that's I think what makes.
So your dad's also a big part of the company,
yeah,
also.
We're co-founders.
Okay.
He's actually out there getting machines ready, but I don't think he has this open yet, or even turned on. Anyway, we do all of our CAM in here. CAM stands for computer-aided machining. So there you go. You actually run. This is a little 16th-inch ball end mill that we're using. This is my SolidWorks part, and we drive the end mill along the geometry. So our shift gate engraving on our knobs is kind of our forte.
Yep.
And nobody's doing, not nobody, I shouldn't say that. People machine shift gate patterns, but they also don't design the shift gate pattern. It looks like a stick form.
Sure,
it's very just rudimentary, where to me, I'm like, wow, we could do something really cool with a shift gate pattern and add graphic design into it. So if this were to come down, he probably, you know, you can actually see this thing run. That's the ball mill literally walking the whole profile. And you literally have to translate design into machining. Just because I model it in SolidWorks a certain way doesn't mean it's going to be able to machine that way, or doesn't mean the tool's going to happen that way.
Can you reiterate that again? Because people don't understand it. Coming from the engineering side, I know, and coming from engineering and coming from machining side, people always don't understand. Reiterate that again for people.
So you have CAD, computer-aided design is my SolidWorks package. You have CAM on this end. They don't talk to each other. They're disassociated. So designers are usually over here. You know, sometimes engineers are over in here, but engineers are in the middle, and you have your manufacturing end of things. So because I can make a feature that might be a pocket that's really small and 1 inch deep, doesn't mean it can actually be cut in manufacturing that way. And there has to be a collaborative language between the two, where I do design and manufacturing reviews with my dad. I'm like, hey, here's what I'm thinking. I think that could be a nightmare to machine. And he might be like, yeah, but what if we take the part, flip it, hold it this way, and get it from this side? And I'm like, oh, but yeah, if we do that, then it evolves.
Yep.
So that's why I like doing as much as we can here, because it allows us to create unique versus just throwing the model to another company that's usually a job shop or something or another making parts, and just having them interpret your design for you. Here I can let design drive as far up to manufacturing. We do balances. If my dad's like, listen, I don't think we're gonna have problems, or we're gonna have problems with that, I'm like, let's try it. And sure enough, we might break a tool, or it didn't work, or it flew out of the vise and that didn't work. And then you start to iterate the process, saying, well, how can we do that? If you're working with somebody outside to do that, the process just falls on its face.
Sure.
And usually cost is a problem then too, because they know it's gonna be hard to make.
Absolutely.
You know? But hopefully that makes sense.
No, that makes perfect sense. I just wanted people to understand. I'm glad you broke it down.
Yeah. Yep. All right. So don't mind our taped off area. At every show I have something stolen, so I'm just really hoping
I'm sorry. Yeah, sorry, buddy.
That's right. So anyway, I don't want people to think like, goodness gracious, what's going on here? Is that a crime
no,
scene?
absolutely not. I mean, the fact that it's roped off in general, I don't blame.
So,
what's up, Brian?
Here's our shop. This is where we go from model to metal.
Okay.
Model, SolidWorks model. We bring it out here, and this is where you literally have cutting tools that come in and do the work. So this part is actually the backside of the shift knob you saw. Gets held in these jaws right here. Those jaws are clamping at some obscene amount of pressure. And literally these tools, these are all solid carbide cutting tools, this is Ryan's forte, come around and literally, the best way you can word it is carve the material off. So you know those Instagram videos to see those guys sitting at a manual woodworking lathe?
Yep.
That's what this is, but it's being done on super hard, strong materials. So 41L40 and 303, I mean, they're not hard in terms of compared to an Inconel.
He's talking to Types of Metals guys, just an FYI.
Right.
No, I understand what you're saying. I just want to break it down for them.
If you were to hold a file on that right now, it would take you days to get there.
Sure.
I mean, this part comes off done in a couple minutes, and it's just, I mean, it's blowing material off, and you stand here and you can't, it's wild to think the cutting pressures that are going on in here. It's hard to understand. So that's where I was talking about the language between design and manufacturing doesn't always mesh. we make it mesh just because we got both parties here doing it.
And you're working with mostly high-speed machining, meaning that you're taking extremely high speeds, short depths, and just going back and forth, hammering.
That's really starting to find its way into turning too.
Yep.
Where instead of taking a bigger, heavier depth to cut, slower speed rate, we're taking lighter cuts at a higher rate, preserving our tool life and also just
options.
And you have our mill. So this fundamentally is different than the turning center. The turning centers do more round work. Don't think this can't do round work, but it works different, meaning the material stays still in this machine. So there's a rondor knob, stays still, and this is one of our Renaissance probing systems, but usually a tool is in here, and this spindle spins and basically takes material off. It works opposite a lathe, where usually this is spinning in a lathe and your tool is stationary. This is opposite. But most mills have the same fundamental process of how they work. Yeah, this is a brand new machine. Both these machines were new for us last year. That was a buck up moment for us of we're growing, we can't meet demand, yet we're not necessarily making enough where we can just go out and lease or buy 2 new machines, so we just do it and hope it works. And a hope, a whim, and a dream. You know?
Dude, this is amazing. The just amount of attention to detail. And guys, I want to point out again, this is a machine shop. I've never ever been to a machine shop that you could eat off the floor. They have a white floor in a machine shop, which is like, to me, I'm like, oh my gosh.
We're gonna have problems.
Yeah, like it's amazing how clean this place is.
Oh, well, so you got 2 other turning centers, and in the back, sorry, we'll cruise close to here. You have more of my, this is where I actually have the most fun. Cut, wind, notch, grind, weld, fabricate, turn quickly. This is where if I need to make a prototype out of metal, I can come back here and do it quickly. The 3D prints aren't functional. In some cases they are. I don't want to say they're completely not functional, but in this case, if I need to just fab something, or maybe we need to make a fixture, or I need to do a mock-up of something that needs to be made out of metal, you can do it here. Wood, plastic, acrylic. Actually, this whole room was filled at one point with equipment, and the RACESENG was a different company at one point where I was doing woodworking for companies, and I didn't need it, and I was like, you know, we're going to need the space for the direction of the business, so I had to part with some of my other toys. But,
gotcha.
Part of it, but we can cruise on through. Don't mind the music. You know, one thing, I know you're here for an open house, but I intentionally we have music playing every day back here.
Yep.
You know manufacturing companies. You walk into them and it is doom and gloom with guys just standing.
That's an understatement. Yep, just miserable. Button pushers that are just hate their life.
We try to have fun around here, and I think that this can be fun. You just have to have ownership and a culture that understands you need to do that.
I want to pop myself into this. That means the world to me. My father, who still works for Samick, which is a machining company, their issue is they're hiring constantly in this industry. But what he just said just rings through me through and through. So many people get into it and they're just miserable. If more owners had mentality like Jared here, there'd be so many more kids interested in machining and want to be in this industry.
And it is cool, you know, where else can you go and carve parts, metal? So if you're into cars and you want to make something, bushings, or you have an idea, you can use this equipment to do that. And CAD is now getting to the point with Fusion 360, you can download it and you can be running toolpaths in an hour and take that code and put it into a machine, and it's
at free of charge on top of that.
Yes, that's the crazy part. So yeah, music for us, there's always music blasting out here. You know, we do sim racing in the middle of the day, and you gotta take a break from this stuff because it's hard work. You're out here loading. You know, these guys run by the minute. The cost of the machines is so much so that when the door is open and it's not running, most people fall over when I tell them what that costs me per minute.
Sure.
So it takes the right person, but it also takes the right type of understanding of, you know, that you still need to produce income with this stuff.
Absolutely.
You know, raw material storage, roped off stuff, but you know, this is the part where people see the part, they don't see a fixture that got bolted into the machine to make that part.
Sure.
And, you know, jaws are completely numbered, part number, naming on them, G56 coordinates written on it, you know, so that we can just boom.
I want to point out another thing coming from machining world. Most people pay an outside source company to make your fixtures. He makes his own fixtures, guys, and coming from machining end again, you think tooling's expensive? Fixturing is your most expensive part by far.
So this jaw, this is the GoPro mount jaws for our towboat. these don't just make themselves. So I had to design the physical shape of the tow hook. Yep. I'm not done when I design the shape of it. I actually have to figure out how we're gonna cut it. So these jaws are modeled in CAD as well.
Gotcha.
And then you go into CAM and you gotta program them in CAM. Then you gotta set up the machine, you gotta machine them. Then you gotta put your blank in and do the production program for it. It is just
so much to it.
Sometimes I think, what the heck am I doing? But you know, I hope it all works out. We're not out of the water at all as a business. We're still small, struggling, cash is tight. Some days I'm like, what am I doing? Like, is this all gonna pay off? So everybody's like, just stay the course. And to me, this is the course.
Sure.
Stay the course of doing what we're doing, keep the language there, keep the high design, keep the quality there, and just stay the course and keep grinding. So
that's all you can do. Nope, go ahead.
So a lot of people call me anal, but I think when they start working here, they get it then about why are we doing this. So if I have an employee that's looking for inserts, packaging inserts, he comes down this row and what's that tag say?
Yep.
Pulls out the inserts and boom, I'm done. I found my stuff, I'm ready to go package now. But if you look down here, everything's done that way. We have labels on the boxes. If there's not labels on them, as soon as they come in, we write the part number on the box. And I just like things ordered. I like things with a logical sense of location, because this is my livelihood. You know, I want a culture that's clean. That has to start from me. It works its way down. So I'm the one that goes through and says, hey guys, I want this stuff organized this way. So the other week, they weren't following me. So I wrote post-it notes and everything, and I walked them through and I said, I want this here, I want this here, I want overflow here, and I'm pointing to the shelves. That one has 3 because I put some emphasis on it, that I had to go down there. But
it's a very Kaizen-like system too. It's a very cut clean system.
So this is, we've actually gotten to the point now where we build flex inventory of stuff. So if there's a product that we make that we can send to a vendor to get finished, we'll make a large bulk of it and then we'll send small batches for finishing to keep our inventory lean. So these are Ashiko shift knobs. So when we're getting on a low stock situation, instead of, you know, ordering a big bunch of them, we'll send just 10 for powder. Perfect. And it allows us to keep inventory smooth and clean and try to stay in stock. But this has taken literally 2 years to get us to the point where we can over manufacture in a way and have flex inventory for situations. But again, flex inventory, everything's labeled.
I just want to make sure it's clear too, guys. He's not overbuilding, like you said. It's considered flex or however you were explaining
flex
there.
Inventory,
flex inventory that he's going to send out now because again, he wants to keep it as lean as possible because you want to keep a ton of inventory on stock.
This is all cash.
Yep, exactly. Thank you.
For us, so this, what I mean by, you know, cash. This is $8 for this tow hook shaft and material. It has to get plated. Then we have to powder it. And you're adding time to from vendors. That's all cash tied into this thing. So when you look down the row of tow hook shafts, you know, you have Alpha, BMW, Ford Focus, Lotus, Mini Coopers, 350Z. So I have to build these shafts for all these cars. And it's literally cash is tied here. So as a business, when you're buying this, I'm putting faith that this stuff's gonna sell. Yep. I mean, it's faith. We cut a PO and it's like, okay, it's 10 grand of material and it's 10 grand going on the shelf. How long is it gonna be sitting there? That's a part of the business that is tough, but as a manufacturer, we're not drop shipping, we're not buying from somebody else. We're buying and making to inventory. We don't make to order. We make it to inventory and it sits, and it takes some kahunas maybe?
Yeah, absolutely.
To just invest and say, listen, we believe in the design, we believe in the product, we're gonna output the cash and then let's go, let's do it. So this is all of our inventory area. Everything's part numbered and barcoded. So we have a barcoding system. It's not bad for a 5-person company to have a little barcoding system, but so we have a full barcoding system in place. All of the labels have a barcoding system in place as well with SKU. And it's, you know, I try to do things right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Really because the idea is to grow. The idea isn't just to stay as a 5-person company. It's how do we build this to grow? It just takes foundation to do that. So a lot of good here. I screwed over here. So you have a lot of finishing and assembly work that goes on in this area. So the shift knobs, we just did a video of actually what it takes us a little bit to wet sand and buff and polish the knobs. We wet sand out something like a piece of lint. I don't, you know, to me, that knob is like the centerpiece of that car. I want the finish dead nuts perfect.
Right.
So just because it's powder coated doesn't mean we're done. It comes in here and we get a bunch of processes that get done. But all of this is packaging areas. So we stage all of our foam on the workbenches, so the guys know when they're done, clean up. They stage the work out here, and then they literally like get stuff done. So we don't have stuff that stays set up. We're always changing over these benches for what's the next product we're making, and then package 50 of them.
Yep.
And that's where organization comes in, because if we're struggling finding where the 50 inserts are, just to do 50, you just spent more time looking for it than you did how long it was going to take to package.
Sure.
So it's really important. Hopefully this will be cool for people to see. So this is what a stage setup would look like for us. We don't make many of these paddles. This is it. This is a small.
This is a small
100-piece run of parts is. That's not much. Most companies, you know, thousands of runs, but this is the extent we go to with the experience.
I want to step back, guys. This is my favorite part of racing. If you guys ever saw my racing video, which I'll link down below, this is my favorite part. When you get it, it's the experience. Think of it as the Apple products of the car industry. That's how that's how I phrase this. They're the Apple products of the car industry.
So it's about the experience, but it's to me it's the process of getting it, the unboxing. So if I were to re-mock this back up for you. You know, your new shifter paddles come, and to me this is the most important thing. This is what we do. We want to make people love driving their cars more. So when you pull this out, this pops up, and that's the first thing you see. And it's intentionally folded, not hard, so that
it pops up like that.
What you do is when you pull this out, you get to read part of our story. It has a tab you can pull off to revisit us. Has our story, you know, and I do here's a simple detail. I do an embossed UV spot gloss under RACESENG story, so the logo then shines a little bit, but then behind my name is the icon, because this is what I stand for. So the icon is me over top of it, and my dad. We're together on this skate, but those are simple little analogies that I like playing through. So you get this thing, and what do you see exposed down through there? Down through the R. So you're looking through us, you see it, and then you really can't, you might have to turn your light on anyway. Well, maybe enough time, but you build in spaces for your fingers to go. You pull this out, and there's your part, and I have spaces where you can actually pull the part out, build in, and then you get to see it, and then you take out and you start, you know. It's the little things there, you know, I almost feel like it's better than Apple in the fact that, like, little things, like when he's saying, like, he makes room so you can get your fingers down there, when you had a cutout here, so you get, just to get little things, like, where other companies are like, what's a piece of foam that's good enough? You want that extra mile. But, you know, there's other things we include. I do these peel-off tabs, because I hate getting VHB. It's just terrible. So I had the manufacturer do these in a way where they actually cut the adhesive off the inside, so you can pull this thing right off, and then when you get in the paddle, you can pull it right off. So it's a little peel tab. You know, we include adhesion promoter, we include the wipes with it, and it comes in a little bag, and the little bag gets a label, and that's just another piece of giving you guys everything you need. You know, put it all there.
I love it.
That's a portion of the puzzle. But then ultimately everything goes and gets fulfilled over here. So that little computer over there is where all of our Webster orders come into.
Okay.
This sim rig's getting a little loud now.
It's all right.
But anyway, everything funnels through there, and this is where we ship our orders from.
This is where it ships from, guys, and even the boxes they ship out have the nice racing logo on it. Obviously, when UPS, FedEx would send it, they're gonna get damaged. So that's why I said the finished box when you guys pull it out. Oh, really?
We're gonna start putting them in sleeves, so that way the box stays more intact. Because this also comes back to us, and I have to put that back in inventory, and I can't. We tear the box completely apart, and we check the knob, and it's hard to take returns with how anal I am.
Sure, I guarantee I can only imagine with you, Jared.
Struggle with returns. But
this is awesome, man.
So when you see the computers, there's a larger story to that. there's a lot of software that runs on these things that ties the whole business together. So our shipping and accounting system is tied to the e-commerce store. They talk to each other. It talks to our inventory. It took me years, like I'm talking easily 5+ years to get everything working and talking together. But it enables a little business like us to ship orders within 24 hours. So you place an order, you know, on 8 o'clock on a Tuesday, it ships Wednesday.
Absolutely.
And I mean, I'm proud of that because we work hard for 5 guys to do that. Our hats are, we're in a lot of them. We're busy all day, and it's important because that to me is also the piece of the experience is, oh, you're not waiting a week for it to go out to get things shipped, and then the excitement comes when you get it, and that's the real cool factor.
That's awesome.
Fun factor.
Let me call a program on board first. And if you want, you can shoot over the screen so you can see what I'm doing there. I'm going to call up this program. Put it over. Let's try this one. Select. There we go. Okay, now you can take it over to the machine and we're going to run it. Alright, we'll do a tool change. I have the tool change slowed down so you can actually see it. Here comes the probe. Now it's going to run this cycle. You see it, it's wireless, it'll communicate. See the lights blink on it?
Yep.
It's going to come down, now it's going to locate the X and Y. Double hits on every move. Found the Y, now it's going to find the X. Okay, now when it comes to the center, it'll recalculate, load the registers for the offset, boom, done.
That's awesome.
Sweet?
I mean, this makes life so much easier.
You're not kidding. That's why they call it automation.
Yep.
Okay, now we're going to run the tool path. Here we go. Change again, slow down. I haven't programmed to shut the coolant off, so it's not going to run the coolant. And all those little moves make that real neat H gate pattern in there. And the ship knob there is made out of 303 stainless steel. And that's the Roundor.
Wow.
Isn't that amazing? I mean, people would think, you know, ship knob, there's a lot of precision in our stuff.
Oh, that's an understatement, guys.
It's just people that see that really appreciate it. Other people sometimes don't get the value in that, but you have to have equipment like this that can hold something.
Until you physically hold it, I was telling Jared there earlier, racing to me is the Apple products of the performance industry. They're the best of the best when it comes to taking that extra mile, the finished package, the finished feeling. And if you look at studies, today's day and age, millennials, what's most important to them is how something feels and handles. So for a product to feel that way, it sells better. Once they physically feel it, they're sold on it.
Yeah, instantly. It's quality, and in today's world, quality takes a back seat to price.
Yep.
But back in my era, it was all about quality, and price came with it. People didn't have a problem with it because they knew they always would look for a quality product, not something cheap. But now it's like reverse role. But I can see that starting to change a little bit.
I think it is because we're trying to get away from the throwaway society because of what it's done to the environment and everything else. So we're trying to get away from throwaway society and reusable and a quality product, which RACESENG stands for.
Thank you.
All right, guys, so we got the full tour there. I got to speak with Jarrett. We're going to finish off the day here with Corey, who's an employee here. We're just going to get a quick rundown and just say like what he does here, and then we're going to finish off this video. So we got Corey here. So Corey, what do you do here exactly? I know you're an employee, but what is your job here at RACESENG?
I am CNC operator.
So you're a CNC operator. Now you have to run them all, correct?
Right,
the lathe, the mill, everything.
Yep. Set up, run, and quality control, everything like that.
That's awesome. So where can everyone check? We have RACESENG in the background here. Where can they check you guys out at?
www.raceseng.com. And if you have any questions about any of our stuff, you can either send us a DM on Instagram, which is just RACESENG, or info@raceseng.com.
Perfect, man. Thank you very much. Hey, Corey.
Right.
It's good seeing you, man.
Thank you.
And guys, that'll be it. Thank you very much. If you guys could do me a favor also, I'm going to link everything for RACESENG down below here. Go check them out. The quality of the products is amazing. Get something made specifically by Corey. And thank you guys very much, and I will talk to you later.
was a sight for my soul.